Hey, Lindsay, guess what?
What's up?
I got my first big paycheck.
Oh, yeah?
You remember how I finally got my first real job last month, right? Well, I finally got paid, and it feels so good.
Congrats, that's really great.
That's it?
What do you mean?
You're not gonna ask me how much I got.
All right, how much did you get?
Let's just say I got way more than you get at your job. You know where I'm working, right?
Yeah, I know your company's pretty famous. You really talked my ear off about it once you got hired.
Oh, I don't quite remember doing that. Luckily for me, though, I got this amazing job because of how smart I am. Unfortunately, the same can't be said for you.
Yeah, you're a real genius.
You've got to be super jealous.
Oh yeah, totally. I wish I could be super smart like my big sister.
That's what I thought. I mean, I'd be jealous if I were you too. You dropped out of high school and started working. But you're really just scraping by, right? I know your job barely pays you anything.
Yeah, well, I'm not living some super luxurious life or anything, but I'm saving up a lot and I'm living a nice, simple life.
Oh, I find that hard to believe. You're not sending any money back to Mom and Dad, right?
That's because Dad told me I didn't have to.
Of course he's gonna say that. Since I got so much money with this paycheck, I'm going to be a good daughter and send a bunch of money to Mom and Dad.
Oh, well, maybe it's a good idea after all. Do you think I should?
Oh, could you even send them $1? There's no way you can afford to send them anything on the salary you're making.
It was kind of tough at first living on that money and being on my own, but I had a lot of freedom to do what I want. And now I make even more than I did when I started.
So what? How could you be happy as a poor high school dropout?
Considering everything, I'm actually pretty happy. Obviously, I can't work at a big, famous company like you, but I'm doing everything I can to make a living for myself.
That sounds kind of pathetic if you ask me.
I don't think it's pathetic at all.
Oh, I guess I'm being a bit harsh on my little baby sis. I'll take it easier on you from now on.
Thanks, I guess.
Even though you're a dropout, you're really trying hard not to ask for any handouts from Mom and Dad, right? That's so nice of you.
Yeah, I promised myself I'd never ask them for money.
What a mature adult you've become.
It doesn't really feel that way. Well, anyway, I'm a little busy at the moment. Good luck with your job.
Hang on there. I forgot to mention. I'm in charge of a really big project at work right now.
That's great.
I heard from one of my coworkers that there's this really incredible freelancer, right? Apparently she's always super busy because of how good she is at her job. We want to try and contract her to do some work for us. And they put me in charge of making a deal to get her to do some work for our company.
They really did that even though you just started working there?
Of course I won't be totally alone. My coworker is going to be there, but just to watch over me. But I bet the reason they gave it to me is because they really expect big things out of an outstanding worker like me. I bet everyone at the company is super jealous of me already.
It sounds like you have your work cut out for you. Don't let them down.
I don't need you to tell me that. You know me. I've always been the genius of the family.
Sure. You always really studied hard in school. You were even top of your class every year, weren't you? I always looked up to you for that.
Of course you did. My plan is to get my foot in the door with that big-time freelancer. I know she'll really take a liking to me as soon as I get the chance to talk with her. If I do that, then I'll get a promotion for sure. I don't just want to be a normal company grunt that never moves up in the ranks. I've got to climb to the top.
While I'm glad to hear you've set some pretty high goals for yourself, I just hope you don't set your expectations too high.
What are you talking about? You think a brilliant person like me could ever fail?
No, that's not what I mean. I just mean you have to be careful to remember that you're working at a company, not just on your own. You have to treat people right.
I don't remember ever asking a dropout like you for advice. I'm the one who should be giving you all the advice.
All right, well, I won't say anything else then.
Of course you won't. Just sit there and nod your head like a good little girl when I talk to you.
Ha ha ha, okay, got it. Well, anyway, like I said, I'm kind of busy right now. I guess I'll talk to you later.
Why didn't you say anything?
What do you mean?
Why didn't you say that you're the freelancer my company wanted to get a contract with?
Oh, yeah. When you were telling me about that project you were assigned to, I thought maybe it could have been me you were talking about. I didn't know for sure until we actually saw each other in person.
How could you, of all people, be so successful as a freelancer? I have no idea how this could have happened.
I think I mentioned it to you once before.
Well, I don't remember that.
Well, I did. You probably don't remember because you don't care about anything in my life.
Don't you have any idea how big and famous my company is? We only want to work with the best of the best. They won't just take some bum off the street. Why would they have any interest in you?
Well, thanks for the compliment, I guess. Do you remember our conversation when we had the meeting?
No, not really.
Well, do you at least remember how you acted? Or did you already forget?
I acted normally. What are you talking about? Nothing out of the ordinary for two sisters talking with each other.
We met each other for business, not for fun.
Yeah, well, who cares? I don't work for you. What makes you think you can act so high and mighty all of a sudden? The coworker I was with was furious after the meeting.
Was your coworker mad at me?
Of course he was.
I don't quite think so.
Oh yeah? Why's that?
Well, for starters, you weren't being professional at all. You talked to me like we were at home or something. Not only that, you just assumed that the contract was a done deal.
Well, of course it is. If I'm negotiating with my sister, it's obviously not going to fall through. There's no way you could ever say no to me.
I don't think you understand how busy I am. I really have a lot on my plate right now. So much that I'm constantly turning down work from other companies.
So what?
That means that just because I have an offer from your company doesn't mean I have to take it.
Are you stupid? Are you going to turn down my company's gracious offer for work?
I'm still on the fence about it.
How could you be so dumb to turn down a huge contract from a company like mine? What an obnoxious thing to hear coming out of a high school dropout like you.
I don't think me being a dropout is relevant anymore. We're both working adults now.
It's absolutely relevant. Above anything else, we're sisters.
That's especially irrelevant right now. Also, thinking back on what you said, the reason why we met the other day was so I could hear more about the offer from your company. That kind of presentation you gave was supposed to persuade me to accept the work from your company. But from the way you talked to me, there's no way I would take the offer if it were a normal situation. I walked away not really knowing what the work was going to be like.
All right, so then why not just ask me now?
What?
Why did I need to explain everything to you then? You could have just asked me any time if you wanted to know something. If you didn't understand something, just ask me right now. I'll be nice enough to answer any of your questions.
That's not the point. What I'm saying is that would have been totally unacceptable if we weren't sisters. Your coworker wasn't mad at me. I really think he was mad at you for how badly you treated me.
Absolutely not. You were totally unfriendly and cold towards us. That's why he was mad. I bet he couldn't believe how rude you were to your own family.
Is that what he said?
No, he didn't have to. I'll be meeting with him later today. He'll probably tell me then. But don't worry. I'll make sure to put in the good word with him for you.
What's that supposed to mean?
Right now, he probably doesn't think very highly of you after we met. So like I said, I'll make sure I say you're not always that rude. That way we won't have to retract our generous offer to you. Just leave it to your big sis to clean up the mess you made. You should feel lucky to have such a kind sister like me.
You've really never changed, have you, Katie? For someone as smart as you, I'm sure you really believe you're a genius.
What's that supposed to mean? Is that a compliment or an insult?
I'll just leave it at that. Let me know how it goes after you talk with your coworker. I'm sure he's got a lot to say to you.
Yeah, I bet he does. Make sure you let me know once you've accepted our offer. And when you do, make sure you say how it was all thanks to me. You'd really be helping me climb up the ladder at my company. If we're going to be working together, we have to help each other out, right? What's his problem? I have no idea why he was so pissed at me. How ridiculous is this?
I'm guessing you talked with your coworker?
He said my demeanor isn't professional at all. He said I was being disrespectful towards you. Oh, he must be crazy or something.
Katie, I really want you to think clearly about what he's saying. You can't think of me as your sister. You have to treat me like you would any other client. What would happen if you treated any other client the way you treated me?
What are you talking about? Like I already said, above everything else, we're sisters.
Yeah, but even as sisters, the way you acted was unacceptable. I totally understand why your coworker is mad at you. Even after he said all that to you, you still think you're right?
Well, maybe I shouldn't have been so casual in the way I talked to you, but more important, did you really turn down our offer?
Yeah, I did.
Why? Are you trying to embarrass me?
I don't have to say yes to any work that I don't want, even if we are sisters. To be honest, I still have no idea what the job was going to be like.
I told you to ask me if you didn't know.
That isn't the point. The point was that you were supposed to explain everything when we had the meeting. That's the whole reason why I was there.
All right, but just please hang on. Please come back again and I'll explain everything to you. That would fix this, right?
I really wish I could. I would love to come back and hear what you have to say. But honestly, I have so much on my plate right now. I really don't have the time to come back. Sorry.
Don't think that you could just say sorry. This is really gonna kill me. You should have heard the way my coworker was screaming at me.
He was really that mad?
Yeah, because I told him that since we were sisters, there's no way he would turn us down. I said, leave it to me, I'll take care of everything.
You probably shouldn't have said that. Just because we're related doesn't mean I'll say yes to you. Why would you think that?
Oh, everyone is really mad at me right now. How could this happen to a perfect genius like me? I was valedictorian at college, for crying out loud. Oh, I can't take the feeling of other people being mad at me.
Well, genius or not, at the very least, you need to have some common sense.
What are you talking about? I'm the master of common sense.
I'm not so sure about that. For someone that was put in charge of a project this big, I think it's pretty obvious you should never have treated me the way you did, even if I am your sister. Did you even notice your coworker's reaction when you were talking to me? He was white as a ghost. If you really did have any common sense, you would have realized his reaction and changed your attitude.
I did notice, but that's not why he reacted like that. He was like that because he was shocked at how disrespectful you were being.
You've got to be crazy if you think that's what happened. You should have been paying more attention. Anyone else would have noticed immediately what was really happening.
I really thought that's what was happening. Oh, what's the point of telling me this now?
Now that I think about it, I kind of warned you about the way you were acting. I said, if we're going to do business together, I think it'd be better to treat me like you'd treat any other client, even if we are related. But you just laughed it off, didn't you?
All right, I apologize for the way I treated you. But please, just accept our offer.
I already told you, no. Unfortunately, I don't have the time to keep talking about this with you. I won't bring any of this up again.
I can't believe you. I never thought you could be so cruel to your own sister. Wait a second. Are you doing this because you saw how much I make?
What are you talking about?
Oh, that's why, isn't it? You wanted to bring me down because I make so much more than you.
All right, well, if that's what you think, I have some news for you. I actually make 10 times as much as you.
There's no way in hell you make that much. How could a high school dropout like you be so arrogant?
Go ahead, you can look at my pay stubs. I really think it would be a good lesson for you. You can see how much money a freelancer is capable of making. I'd be happy to teach you all about it.
Who do you think you are? What could an idiot like you possibly teach someone like me? You didn't even make it through high school. You're out of your mind if you think you're better than me.
Is that right? I sure hope your ego doesn't get the best of you like it is right now once you get back to work.
Who are you to talk to me that way? You probably barely make $2,000 a month. You must be stupid if you think you make 10 times what I do.
You're way off. You're missing 2 zeros.
Bullshit. Do you think I'm an idiot? You really think I believe you make $200,000 a month? Are you so stupid that you can't do basic math?
I'm not lying. The most I've made in a month was $200,000. You'll never see that much money in your whole life.
You're being serious.
Yup. That's why I can take or turn down any job I want. Of course, in the past, I started off only making a couple $100 a month. And as you know, I'm not the genius you are. So I really had to pull myself up by my bootstraps and work my butt off. I'm actually really thankful because in a way, you were my motivation to work this hard.
All right, well, if you really mean that, well, why don't you just take the job?
No, I already told you that's not happening. To be honest, it's not that I don't want to work with your company. I really just don't want to work with you.
Are you serious?
Even though I flat out refused the offer from my sister's company, she tried to use her power as my sister to force negotiations to make me accept. I had no choice but to get my parents involved. Of course, they absolutely ripped her apart for the way she was acting. After that, things didn't go so well for her at her company. A year later, she handed in her resignation and changed jobs. She eventually got a job as a telemarketer. I don't think she'll be bothering me again, especially since I've completely cut off all communication with her. I bet despite everything that happened, she still thinks of herself as a genius. But if you ask me, how smart are you if you get totally owned by a high school dropout like me?